Season number 2 relegations.
Yep.
There's a mouthful. They love dragging out those titles. I just want to see us casters try to get through them. All right. Anyway, back to that draft.
Yeah, so
a Lost Vikings fan.
Goons and Goats are going to be starting us off here for the game number 1. You said a Lost Viking van. Well, let us get to the draft screen so get this underway. Goat is actually not blue. They are red, but they still get the first pick. And what was their way to go?
Okay, they banned out the Illidan. So we have Vikings banned for Goon, Illidan for Goat. Goat Gaming starts it off with a Sylvanas pick. Goon following that up with a Jaina Bala. So tons of range damage being picked up almost immediately for both these teams quickly into the draft.
For the Forsaken.
Not really solidifying any of their strategy, not necessarily going for an aggressive or a passive play style. We'll have to see how that pans out when either team picks up Tyrande Diablo, perhaps. Maybe that's what Goat Gaming is going for. No, Tassadar said.
I heed the voice
I'm not
of
sure.
Loon.
That could be followed up with a number of things. Kerrigan, Thrall, we even saw earlier today, so there's a lot of options.
Yeah, very rapid fire picks going back and forth between them as well. I mean, the Goat Gaming have been itching for their game. They finished off theirs a good little bit ago, and then of course they had to wait, between game 2 and the possible game 3 that is now going to be forever lost to history. But yeah, I mean, as you said, they're really setting themselves up nicely. It is Cursed Hollow, so once again we're going back into the fray. Goon Squad, they're definitely seasoned at this one, but with that Jaina and now the Vala, I mean, that's a heck of a lot of damage. Jaina is 100% first pick material these days.
Yeah, she's gotten that good with the recent changes to her basic ability. She just throws down that damage, and she's so scary. And she, oftentimes you look at those damage charts after the game is done, and she is topping those by a large margin. And we've really seen the Jaina play evolve quite a bit, especially if you have a very CC heavy team. They're even getting confident enough to not run sprint at level 13. Sometimes they'll take Icy Veins, etc., just to really maximize the damage output. And sometimes it pays off so well, and it's just so difficult to deal with.
Absolutely, yeah. So, triple, or well, not the triple damage, but the 2.5 or so here for the Goon Squad is a really solidified backline. They are going to need a tank of tanks, and it looks like it's going to be an ETC up on the menu there. Goat Gaming immediately just say, Uther, done.
God, look at that. They were able to
support. My God.
That is okay. Yeah, that's a thing in itself. We usually don't see that much potential for healing wards, etc. The Uther, Tyrande, Diablo, and it's crazy to think that the Tyrande was picked up second for Goat and Diablo 5th, and they were still able to grab those two together. It's such a strong combination of heroes with the Shadow Charge, Overpower into Lunar Flare, Hunter's Mark. You just need one damage dealer behind that.
You're
set to go. Even Uther can follow that up with the Hammer of Justice stun. Goon Squad.
Retribution Paladin perhaps today?
Yeah, that was also doing some work in that last game we casted. Craziness. All right, so Goon Squad. Let's take a look at their composition a little bit. It's not really... it's very similar to their was it their strategy or was it the other? No, it was Shattered. Shattered had a comp that was kind of similar to this with the ETC and the Zagara. So we sort of had theory crafted that maybe Dance would be used after the Maw. Wasn't the case, so they still got a lot done with the stage dive. Still though, Maw plus Jaina, they can go Rain of Vengeance for the stunned on top of that. There's some potential there. Still though, I imagine Goat Gaming is going to be pretty aggressive early on to try and get that early lead.
All right, just give them the heads up that we are ready to go. If Goon doesn't fold under that early pressure that the Goats are likely to be putting up with that roam, then yes, I think they can kind of weather Goat Gaming they're not coming in as a hammer. They're coming in as a feather, but the feather is going to tickle you to death just as well as a hammer can hammer you to death. It's just going to take a heck of a lot longer. With that triple support, though, against the 2.5, which is what I like to call the double assassin and the specialist, Zagara is definitely more of a fighting specialist. Jaina has those big buffs. Vala with, maybe not so much that battle momentum, but she's still number 1 in my books. And it's just, which way is this going to go? Is it going to be the survivability, or will it be that hammer?
For Goat Gaming, they have the option to do either, which is crazy. And then we didn't even get a chance to talk about the silence on top of all that. Can really throw a big wrench into the plan for Goon Squad. And the mobility, especially between Zagara, Jaina, and Rhaegar, they don't have the option necessarily to quickly get out of the way of that Wailing Arrow. And that might prove to be a bit troublesome We'll have to see how it pans out during the team fights, but it would seem as though game number 1 between Goat Gaming and Goon Squad has commenced, at least the loading portion. So we'll get that to you guys in a second.
Yep, on cue. Right, it is. Going back into the Cursed Hollow, guys. Game number 1 of this best of 3 into our semis, which means we're guaranteed at least one more best of 3 into the finals. The other contenders for those final spots is Cloud9, Vortex, and Fraud Esports, and I know that they're into game number 2, but I haven't seen a result as of yet, so we don't know yet of these 4 teams who is going to be going on into that top 2 slot in being inducted into the majors, or who's walking home with $250 cash.
Ooh. All right, let's get to introducing these teams that are going to be vying for that spot for the top 2. On the left side, the blue side, we have the Goon Squad playing for them. We have Tripod, Goat. Don't confuse the two. We have Goat versus Goat Gaming here. Yeah. Get Up, Hosty, and Teebs are going to be running out that competition for the Goon Squad.
I love how they line up. It's a big throwback to the early Alpha cast back in the day. Although I do think that Tempo Storm with the Ginyu Force is the best. But either way, Lex Uther, Pythix, Equinox, Curse, Fury. We will just call him Fury for those not in the know. And Bass Drop going to be making up the Goats. And the Goat Gaming crew, I mean, they have so much experience individually, but not really a whole lot as a team. They have been really coming out strong into the scene, and it's for exact reasons like that they get really good early starts.
Whoops. All right, kids, that's why you don't face check bushes early on against these kind of comps, because of that.
Big head mode is done. No face check technology.
That's right. Oh my goodness. So yeah, but that's exactly the type of play that we expected to see out of Goat Gaming, with that heavy stun and CC potential between Equinox and Fury, of course. All right. So that's a statement play. Shouldn't set them too far ahead experience-wise, but it will make Goon Squad think a little bit more about their positioning, especially.
Well, Bass Drop right now is alone by himself. We're looking for another rotation here from Fury and Equinox. They do got the Diablo and the Toronto. We've been seeing it a lot in terms of this early game run, going back and forth. Pythix is holding down the top. He's looking for that gank squad. He's not going to find it into the top. Excuse me. But Lex Uther and Get Up, I mean, that's the wet noodle lane. It's just, they're going to slap each other around a little bit, but nothing really of big import is going to go down.
That's right, yeah. Let's see, let's take a look at some of these towns. It seems like with the wind, the increased range for Sylvanas has been
bam, thank you, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. So quick. Can't even get a chance.
Zagara,
no talent talking.
Yeah, Zagara 0-2. I think you have now leeway, sir.
Yeah. And we do see the reduction in cooldown for the Hunter's Mark. Makes a lot of sense with how much roaming these two teams are going to be doing. And Hosty getting caught out of position. They're really making this work, and you can see it in that experience bar. They are almost a level lead, probably about 3/4 of a level up, and they're really hoping to ride this out to level 10 so they can have that huge map control, especially getting those curses.
Yeah, you don't need mercs when you can just start insta-giving people. You go to a lane, and we've seen this combo time and again, not only here, but EU as well absolutely adores this. They get that 1 and the 2. Here's the combo, and Bass Drop comes in once more for a 0-3 Zagara. And in terms of like picking some more immobile champs against this comp, it's almost a death sentence. I mean, Hosty gets flipped and stunned, he's likely to go down. The Zagara, same boat. ETC, not so much, but you're not going to pick it on the ETC, you're going to be picking on the Zagara.
That's right. And not only does that play into the combo and trying to dodge and get away from that, it's also going to be a huge deal with dealing with Sylvanas in the team fight too, because you can't get away from that silence. So it's a little bit twofold and a bit unfortunate for the Goon Squad. They're going to have to play very careful with their positioning from here on out.
Tripod was thinking about joining the fight, and then he's like, nope, I remember that bush. He's being so careful. He's like, nah, they're not there. And Fury now shows himself. Tripod is maybe having a little bit of a party in his pants because he is just not happy at all to see this Cursed Fury guy.
During all that distraction, of course, we did have the first tribute going the way of Goat Gaming. So they have that map control already. They have the level lead, which is a bit balanced out too much because of the extra presence that Goat Gaming was showing at that first tribute.
Well, I mean, with the first tribute, it's not the end-all. It doesn't really dictate the rest of the game if you don't get the first one. The bigger key thing is that you don't waste too much time or give too much in order to grab it, or even worse, to lose it. So, I mean, we didn't really have a huge amount of loss from the side of the Goons on this one. Really, the only kills are that roaming comp, and 3 of them are on Zagara to boot. So in terms of the overall, it's only about a half level difference. It's hardly game over.
But to have this stacked on top of the tribute, and we've mentioned this in past games as well, as soon as you hit that, you've got 2 and the opponent has 0, you can dictate the pacing and when the fights are chosen. You don't have to go for that 3rd tribute. You can opt to take a boss, you can take mercenary camps, you can roam and pressure like we're seeing here. Posty getting grabbed, shadow charged, overpowered into that Lunar Flare 100 Smart combo that is just so strong right now in the meta. And it's doing work for Go Gaming.
Yep, 5-0, and would you believe, I don't remember the hotkey for deaths, but I'm just gonna look at him here. 2 deaths on the Jaina, 3 on the Zagara. The 2 early game immobile characters that have no escapes are 100% getting picked on time and again.
They're picking the right targets, and it makes sense. Of course, these guys are very experienced. They know what they can get away with. 4 kills for picks in the gank squad. And it looks as though the Goon squad is really just trying their hardest to stall this out as long as possible. And it might be in their favor, assuming they don't get picked.
And they have a lot of damage into this top, but at the same time, Get Up is not looking so healthy. The Tyrande Hunter's Mark is really, really strong. Vala dies 1-on-1 solo up against the Sylvanas into the bottom lane, but it's all about this 4-on-4 top. That is going to be a lot of experience now into the pocket of the Goats because they don't have anybody to contest those Siege Giants, and there's nobody there to soak up that experience as well. So Poke and Soak is not really working, I think, here for the Goons.
Yeah, I think that was really the advantage they were looking for, was to just try to stall as long as possible. ETC trying to dash out of that fight, finds himself at the unfortunate end of one of Tyrande's auto attack arrows falling, and this puts them down to 5v4 disadvantage. They're going to get that next tribute, and like we were talking before, this gives them the ability to dictate map presence for that 3rd tribute and another rotation. Curse Fury dashing forward, and they get the combo. This is starting to spiral out of control for Goon Squad. What do they need to do to come back, Jester?
Well, they got to stop dying.
Yeah, that's a good one to start with.
It's the only level difference, and in terms of that level, we're actually in a really bad spot here for the Goons because the next tribute will be 10 for their opponents. The opponents are also now going for the Grave Golem, so I think eat the curse, defend as best you can. There's going to be a lot of experience coming to you, which you can then use, your walls and your towers and all that as just fodder that you can farm it up. So yes, you will lose out some forts, but you will gain at least up to level 10. Then you might be able to make a pick, but it's got to be defensive play for now, just to weather the storm to 10.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit better soaking from Goon Squad, because they had a pretty good idea that most of their effort was going to be spent towards the capturing of the boss in the top lane, so they didn't have anyone soaking mid, and really that's going to be the name of the game for them right now. And this golem that they're taking is coming at a late time. I think that they will be able to get away with it, but the rotation is being thrown in from Go Gaming, and they're backing up.
Yep. They're too afraid. It's 9.5 to just over 10. We have one side with heroics and the other doesn't. Tribute is top, and that would have worked out great for the Goats because they could have caught it, and the Goons were trying to really use that as leverage, but fortunately they're just going to get the worst of both worlds here.
Yeah, this is brutal. We were talking about the patience. They needed to have the patience, and trying to capture this boss, especially so late, was almost the opposite of that, because this is an experienced crew we're looking at with Go Gaming. All of these players have played in competitive matches that are high-profile matches, and they know about the map control, the presence, and where people are going to be very likely. They threw down the clairvoyance, or the farsight in this case. No, clairvoyance. And they made the appropriate rotation. They said, this is greedy play, we're going to punish it. And that's what this whole game has been about, is punishing greedy play.
So right now, again, you got to eat the curse. Unfortunately, giving over that golem now kind of puts a wrench in the whole let's just defend plan, because it's a 5-man push rather than a spread out looking for forts. They're going for a keep because they got this gigantic grave golem. So a lot of experience is still coming towards them. You saw the Jaina into the mid lane. She was soaking. We do have 10. It's 10 to 12. It's during a curse, but it's before 13. You need to go for a fight before the 13 talent tier kicks in here.
Yeah, and they're going to have to find some type of rotation to make this work. I think that they have a lot of potential with the heroics they have. They can make it work, but they have to try to find a way to catch Goat Gaming off guard. And this might actually be an opportunity, but they need Cigar to be a little bit more forward. We need that mob.
And, well, they're going to have to look for that mob. You got the stage dive. The lightning breath is so good.
The damage was
Everybody gets funneled in. He's going to shadow charge right through the trees as well to gank the cow. He went cow tipping. It was pretty successful. Hosty has no hit points to his name.
Yeah.
We might actually see a sub 10-minute win at this
Yeah,
rate.
yeah, absolutely. At this rate, we're 12 kills to nothing so far, and with the Sylvanas especially, it might even allow them to take multiple keeps here because they can shut down and really minimize the amount of damage that they're taking. Tyrande doesn't have all that much to heal with Uther, so yeah, there's the first keep. They might even just rotate up, take this next fort. They have the tier advantage at level 13 on that, and we're looking at extra range in the Shadow Charge, making that combo even stronger. The Overflowing Light, so yes, there's that triple-ish support, and that's even feeding into that even more. It's going to be so hard.
Light is actually superior in terms of a healing choice right now for Tyrande, because not only did it lose 30% on that health threshold, but just the fact that it's now the level 13 talent too. I mean, what else could you get at 13? Sprint is
yeah.
the other one, right? Oh, yeah, you don't need sprint to get away from that. Ooh.
Okay, Fury throwing down mid, perhaps.
They have battle momentum, he doesn't. So that's actually going to be a pretty decent cooldown.
Yeah, but they are well ahead, and they're feeling confident with this push, and especially with the Sylvanas backing that up too. I can completely understand that because they can shut down the ammo from those turrets, and this makes this defense so much harder because generally the plan is, okay, we'll throw some skill shots at them. Oh, Hosty!
What? Fury right over the wall, man.
Yeah, doesn't care. And,
Apex right there.
Right.
Oh my god, bring back my Diablo 2 days all of a sudden.
That's very relevant. I like that.
Well, there we go. 1 and 2. Well, not quite the wombo that we were looking for on top of Goat, but the silence arrow goes in, and unfortunately, the Maw only takes home Uther. He cannot be standing inside that Starfall, not for too much longer. Get Up goes into the back, but unfortunately, he's just too far forward. He will get the heals, but it's not enough. The Archon looking very mecha is looking really good there from Pythix. And once more, it's just kills and kills and kills. This is 15 and oh, QB.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to be said about these team fights that are happening. So one of the points I was trying to make was that with the defense, especially on a wall like this where you have the keep, you can sort of wait it out a little bit. You're probably going to lose the wall, but you know that over time you're at least dropping the mana pool of the healers down by quite a bit, or they're losing resources in the form of HP, and then you can pick and choose a fight if they overextend a little bit. That's not the case with Sylvanas on the team because she can shut down the ammunition being fired from the turrets, right? So you're not really losing anything. You don't have to heal that much, and it just the issue sort of starts to compound itself as you're ahead and trying to defend.
Well, when you get ahead, you get more
ahead. That's right.
The famous StarCraft quote.
It's very relevant here.
16 tier is, for a brief moment, we were 4 levels ahead for the Goats, but they hit 16 about the same time that the Goons are hitting 13. Is a big level and difference in terms of what comes to the table on that tier.
Yeah, we're getting the blood for blood for Sylvanas, getting an extra, the Firestorm getting the extra damage. They're not seeing the need for the imposing presence. I think that is a very reasonable choice given the opponents that they are up against. Uther still making the decision, do I want to go for Benediction, perhaps Hardened Focus? I think those might be the two choices that make the most sense. And of course, the full race car build from Tassadar, just impossible to kill.
No second strikes today, not really any kind of big shrink phase here either. It has been pretty consistently Prescience and Dimensional.
Yep. Just making sure. I mean, you can really keep, oh man, and go Curse Fury dashing forward over the wall once again for Go trying to pick up the kill. Wasn't followed up for the team, but they don't need to. They can just play a little bit passive, just let the Golem do tons of damage here and probably get themselves another keep.
The Tyrande stuns from Equinox have kind of been slipping a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Fury
true.
goes in, but does he have that extended range? He totally does.
Yep.
And I think that's the big difference. Equinox is still kind of positioning for the previous without that 33%. Because there we go. Okay. The stuns now will finally hit. Hosty's going to be the big target. The Ancestral comes out, but that's a lightning breath. And Get Up is even going to be able to walk out of this one. Well, just barely. Silence arrows.
Oh, God.
Good. The wailing and the stuns. There goes the Goat. And Get Up's going to come on back, and it will keep the team, at least the rest of them, alive for now. But Golem and Archons and the rest of the Goats, oh my, this is a 50% core encounter.
Yeah, and their HP bars are quite low, but with the boss still having stood up and just have enough HP with the rest of the team, they're not going to be able to defend in time. And just the whole game was all about those roaming combos, and they just got themselves to that huge early lead like we were expecting to see. But that's really the strength of this style composition, right? They need to catch themselves an early lead. I honestly feel like on even footing, Goon Squad might have had the better level 10 fight, But if you're down 3, 2, 4, whatever amount of
levels,
levels, 4 levels at one point, like it's not going to matter. Goat Gaming can take really unfavored fights and still come out on top.
It was 17-14 by the end of it in a 13-minute win. One death, and that was Lex Luthor at the very end of it all.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely a very dominant game from the GOATs. They do solidify a very quick victory. As I said, they were chomping at the bit, literally, to get these games played, and they want in. They absolutely want that ESL major slot. They
do,
want that $250.
They're one game away at this point. If they can take one more victory over the Goon squad, they will secure themselves that top 2 spot. Do we know who they're up against yet? Do we have?
I see actually some talk in our channel about the next lobby, so that leads me to believe it's 1-1 between Cloud9 and Fraud.
Interesting. I would have expected there. Of course,
We'll
Cloud9 Vortex looked so strong in that series that we casted for them, but Fraud Esports bringing it to them. I like it.
The Nexus Globetrotters, as they used to be called. It's Kiefer's and crew over there. Again, another great, fantastic team to watch through the amateur leagues. And if they actually do defeat Vortex, that's going to be huge for them. So
that would be a very, very big upset, of course, because I think a lot of people would look at all the teams that are in this bracket today and say, okay, I think Vortex is probably going to make it out. They're going to get that spot in the ESL NA Major League Season 2, but maybe not. We'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on those results as we move forward. But we're going to try to get the game number 2 lobby set up between Goon Gaming and Goat Gaming. Is it Goon?